Go Brandon!
The CZ Scorpion Plus 3 Micro. This is a pretty cool gun. This particular firearm is a perfect example of a company who does listen to their customer base, unlike a bunch of other companies out there, and I'm not going to name any names. Glock! There's some things that CZ really knocked it out of the park with whenever they put the very first Scorpion out there. And it's funny because a lot of those things bothered people for a very long time. Personally, myself, I was not a fan of the pistol grip. This is the old pistol grip from the old CZ Scorpion. This thing reminded me of the kind of guy who puts a big time crazy whale tail spoiler on a 4-cylinder Hyundai or something. It just looked ridiculous before. And not only did it look horrible, because I know we're not after looks all the time whenever we're shooting or buying a particular firearm, it functioned horribly. The grip angle was ridiculous. There was no need for the stupid flared out bottom part to it. Again, it looked like some crazy stuff that you just didn't need to have on there. It looked really, really nutty. So that was a big problem I had with. They've certainly corrected that here. The pistol grip on this thing is absolutely perfect. In fact, I've used some aftermarket stuff from Strike Industries in the past to upgrade my CZ Scorpions. As you can see, it makes a big difference whenever you put the correct pistol grip on there with the right angle, the right grip size, and not the whale tail wing on there. They also did a really good job of slimming down that selector switch. That was always an issue of mine too. Again, if you use any of the Strike Industries parts that do work on, most of them work on this same Micro Plus 3, it would bring that in a little bit to the lower, so you didn't have that issue of it grinding into your knuckle or your hand whenever you were trying to shoot the thing. Now, some people complained about the old mag release. Man, I didn't have a problem with that. I like the fact that it was in line with kind of that AK style mag release anyway, that kind of one-handed mag release. I think so many people, and not saying this is right or wrong, but so many people are more into that AR style mag release where you're doing it with your dominant hand and you're engaging that and letting it drop free while you're reaching for the other magazine. Yeah, you're probably saving milliseconds there. I mean, so I could see some competition mag reloads, some tactical reloads, probably moving a little bit faster with this current version with that. I do like the fact that the sights are the same robust, really hardy, protected sights too. I like the fact that it's protected, but they raised them up a little bit so that you can co-witness with a red dot. I will be doing some shooting and running some red dots. I've got a couple at the house that I want to try. So I'll be able to see how well it co-witnesses, but it's pretty cool that they raised that up. With the popularity of red dots on pretty much everything these days, it's nice to see a company kind of adapt a little bit and include that into their game plan going forward rather than just saying, we'll get to it if we feel like it. It's nice that they added that, but they kept, again, that really robust, hardcore protection around this thing. These real meaty looking protected covers around there is a pretty cool thing to me. I know Daniel Defense put out some sights a while back that I'm a huge fan of because they're designed the same way to really protect your front post mainly, and of course your adjustable back portion. The back portion being protected is probably a really cool thing too, because you've got these 4 different apertures that you can spin through here, and you don't want to lay this thing down or get it caught in a bush, or maybe if you're going prone or just whatever you might be doing. You might be shooting competition with this thing, and you don't want something to snag that aperture and push it backwards to where you don't have an aperture. It might be in between apertures whenever you go to actually acquire those sights. So it's cool that they protected front and back both. Really, really nice. The foreend's a little bit different, much more modernized than the old one was. Of course, you got the hand stop on here, but just the modern look of that forend, I like that. It's just got a good look to it. The lower's somewhat redesigned also with these little, honeycombs dug into them or something like that. So I'm a huge fan of that. I like it. Now, let's get to the thing that's probably not popular. And I'm not going to say that I don't like it, because I understand with innovation comes some things that you might be giving up. A lot of people complained before, like I said earlier, about that mag release. They wanted that AR style mag release. Well, if you notice on an AR style magazine, you've got the little box that's cut out on the left hand side. That's where your mag release is going to engage and hold that mag in place. They listened to you and they put out a mag release, but they had to redesign the magazine to fit the mag release that you wanted. So what did they do? They put the little box that cuts into the side of the magazine. The old magazine does not have the box cut out on the side because guess what? They didn't need it before. Because again, you had that old AK style release. So these older magazines will not work in that particular firearm. So will the new magazines work in the old one? Yes, because the old one didn't need a box on the side to hold the magazine. So it's just a box going into an empty mag well with nothing that's going to engage it in the old Scorpion. So your older Scorpion will use the newer magazines. The newer Scorpion will not use the older magazines. Now, easy way to fix that, and I'll probably do a video on it, is simply to, say, get a Sharpie and mark the inside of where that mag release engages the magazine and release it gently and let it stamp that mark where it's going to be on your magazine. And you could get either a Dremel, a drill press, if you're patient enough, get a pocket knife. And it doesn't have to be a perfect square like you see put on here, but just enough to where that mag release has a ledge, an edge to grab hold to where that magazine doesn't continue to slide out. So, I mean, probably something you can do to fix that if you want to interchange your older magazines. You know, try it. I'll do it. I'll do a video on it to see how that works. I know it'll work because obviously that's what the little square box is cut out on the left-hand side. Just not sure how easy or hard that is. The two magazines do come with it. They are 20 round magazines. The charging handle is a little bit small. I'm one of those guys that is like a bull in China cabinet. I'm not real finesse worthy. So when I grab that charging handle, I'm more likely to drag my knuckles across the top of that Picatinny rail than I am to be able to do a smooth charge of the firearm. I do like the fact that, again, Strike Industries, and they're not paying me to do this, I'm just a fan of their aftermarket parts. They have a little bit more of an extended one that you see that I put on this particular Scorpion. I like that because it gets my knuckles and my hand a little bit farther away from the firearm whenever I'm charging back. So when I let go, I'm not dragging it across those Picatinny rails on top. Just a nice design. Let's go shoot it. All right, guys, a lot of people ask, so I want to say this right now. I have Victos gloves that I'm wearing, Axle ear wear. The ear protection that I have, there's a link in the description below, like 35% off, so you want to click that link. I love this earwear. I use it all the time. And this is an Lbx Sling. This sling is awesome. It's a 2-point sling that you can use like I have it now as a 1-point sling. And that's the other thing about the Evo, or the Scorpion rather, is the fact that on the very back of it, if you have the one like I have without the brace on it, you do have a QD, a quick disconnect on the very back side of it, where you would normally have an SB Tactical brace or something like that on there. So I just prefer that, especially the fact that I don't have a brace to support anymore to control the fire a little bit. This gives me, as I've stated in other videos, 1 point of contact, 2 points of contact, and if you want to call it 3 and 4 points of contact, because I can push that firearm out front like that. And I'm getting the kind of leverage that I need on it so that I'm able to manage the recoil or anything like that. So that's why I have a sling. It's not to look like a Billy Badass. It's the fact that I control the weapon a whole lot easier by doing that. So let's get started here. Let's see how this thing runs. Now, I want to try to prove my theory for a second. First of all, the mag release, the way we talked about it, to where it's going to give you a tactical reload. Obviously, that's the AR style thing where it's going to drop freely and clearly. This is the magazine from the old Evo. Notice how, excuse me, the old Scorpion. Notice how the new magazine has the square right there for the mag catch to grab hold of it. And the old one does not have the square right there. I got 10 rounds right here, just to show that it's not the actual magazine, but the magazine catch on the outside of it that does or does not work. I want to show you this real quick. Well, I got to grab the round first. There we go. Now, check this out. It doesn't drop freely, but it's also not caught by the catch. So that's all that it is. It's just that piece of it. I do feel like if we're able to waller out that little square like you see on the new ones, these old ones will work fine. Guys, a lot of times I take a little bit of heat on my firearm reviews. people kind of want to hear the negative stuff. It's funny how so many people out there just have such negative ways about them and they want me to rag on stuff. I typically look for the good side in everything, in people, firearms, and everything else that I do. So I'm a glass half full kind of guy. Man, I gotta tell you, this CZ Scorpion Plus 3 Plus, whatever they call the micro, this thing's cool. CZ clearly listened to its audience, its customer base, whatever you want to call them, and improve this thing. The higher sights, yeah, that's going to make for a great acquisition of your sights if you're using a red dot. The grip has an uncanny look to the 6-hour P365 and actually the 6-hour MPX. Very, very similar grip. I don't know if engineers figured out that this was the right thing to do on a particular grip or not, but somebody did it and it works right. As weird as it looks, it actually fits my palm just fine. I also like the little bit of stippling that they put on here. Gives it a little bit more grip and grip in the right places. There's 2 or 3 different types of stippling on here. The fact that they got rid of the whale tail, hey, you made my day with that alone. Just that by itself was enough for me to already like this thing. I do like the way the selector switch is a little bit lower, still kind of gets into your knuckle a little bit, but hey, we can live with that. Hearing a lot of knocks about how people don't like the fact that they can use their own old magazines. Yeah, that is a negative, but on the upside, those same people were the ones asking for the AR style release on the mag. So you give up one thing for the other. You literally can't have both. Again, like we discussed earlier, you have to have that little box cut into your magazine in order for that mag catch to hold it, for you to be able to put an AR style mag release on there. So I don't have as big of an issue with that. I don't feel like that's a showstopper because again, you gained what you were looking for first with that. The forend, that's nice. Even though it's polymer, I mentioned that, it is an M-LOK also, but it looks good, feels good, adds to a little bit lighter weight. You're talking about 4+ pounds of weight overall on this entire thing. Plenty of Picatinny rail space up top if you're wanting to put a red dot on there. Again, this thing is nice. Trigger felt good, extremely tactile and obvious reset on it. So you're not guessing that if you've reset your trigger and gone far enough for that. Overall, very, very nice. I enjoy this thing. It's a supreme upgrade from the other. Even though Strike Industries makes some great aftermarket parts to fix all those things that were incorrect on the old micro, at least now, those that don't want to have to change those parts out really don't have to. You don't have to get those aftermarket parts. With that being said, those Strike Industry parts that I had on that other one, most of those are going to fit on here also, and practically all of them. So again, guys, a lot of fun to shoot this thing. Practical use, man, look, other than having fun at the range, I can't see how you go wrong with this thing shooting inside your home for personal defense. This thing right here is super compact. You got a 9mm round, you throw some hollow points on there, but there's so many things you could use this for in terms of clearing a home. If you actually had an intruder, that's gonna make it so portable, so compact. I know putting a brace on there and all that would probably stabilize things a little bit, but the way this is actually shipped, this particular one without a brace on it, is extremely compact. I like the fact that you could get a 30-round magazine if you want to, but in this case, the portability of it and how compact it is, having the 20-rounder keeps the firearm or the package or the footprint, if you want to call it that, even with what the pistol grip is, instead of having it sticking out further down here. So to me, you're maintaining your compactness by keeping the 20-rounder in there, but you can always go up to the 30 if you want to. Guys, this thing is a lot of fun to shoot. I purchased this one with my own money, just so everybody knows. So no one gave this to me. CZ didn't give it to me. A gun shop didn't give it to me. Gator Guns and Sulphur sold it to me. Appreciate them getting it for me. But this was purchased with my own money. And oh, guess what? It was purchased with my YouTube money. The money that I made off of you guys watching these videos is how I was able to purchase this. Just want you guys kind of to understand the business side of what we do in YouTube, that it's not just us going out there, people giving us a bunch of free stuff and we're blowing our money. Your dollars for the time you spent watching my videos allowed me to purchase this firearm and bring you another review. So it's a beautiful, beautiful cycle right there. Kind of the circle of life, right?